Northwest wild. Hunting, fishing is my kind of style. I float the Wainuchi when it gets hot. I'm proud of all the things that I've got. I'm digging the moss bags up in the sand, and after work a cold beer in my hand, picking wild berries off God's land, and drinking my buddy's homemade wine. Living Northwest wild. Hunting, fishing is my kind of style. I float the Wainuchi when it gets hot. I'm proud of all the things that I've got. I'm digging in moss bags up in the sand, and after work a cold beer in my hand, picking wild berries off God's land, and drinking my buddy's homemade wine in the Northwest wild.
Hey, good evening and welcome to Fish on Northwest of Wayne, England. Tommy Donlan back in studio once again, 2 weeks in a row. I've got.
It's amazing. Here. We're on a record here of some sort.
Making a run at it, my friend. Making a run at it with all the ongoings this evening. I got coffee all over my show sheets. My phone will not connect to the phone network, as it were.
And you didn't catch any fish this morning.
We'll get to that.
Sorry.
We
jumping ahead?
Hey, we caught plenty of fish. We just didn't catch the targeted large species that we wanted. Right?
And you came away with some good sunrise pictures.
No.
Yeah.
No.
What?
Why would I do that?
All right.
I don't have time for that. So, hey, welcome everybody. Thanks for tuning in this evening. Big shout out to all those that are tuning in and watching. I want to remind everybody, you can join us each and every week right here on our Facebook page and or go to our YouTube channel. Check out the live feed there as well. Subscribe if you would to always get notified whenever we put up live and relevant content. Tommy, we are going to get through this. We got a ton of info to cover tonight. A lot of it has to do with salmon, because it is salmon season.
Yep,
don't know if
absolutely.
You got the memo, right?
Yep.
We'll share a little bit of our Kokanee experience as of late. Maybe this will be kind of the final, I don't know.
The final chapter for a little bit?
Chapter for a little bit, as we reference Kokanee. But we have a lot of moving parts tonight. Got a great how-to segment we're bringing back from last year, that flasher conversion that a lot of folks asked about last week.
Yep.
And and I failed to put one on here as well, how to convert that flasher to a quick breakaway for pennies on the dollar. And once you guys see this, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? It's so simple. Once you build those, guaranteed, they do work, and they work fantastic. So we'll get through that later on. Also going to bring you that Kokanee segment that we've created from our road trip to Wyoming several weeks ago, getting caught up. I wanted to get that interjected into a show before we get too far along in the season, where it's, we got all this salmon opportunity.
Right.
And now all of a sudden we're going to talk about Kokanee. So, which is a salmon, by the way.
It is.
Okay, qualifies.
Little Sockeye.
Little Sockeye.
Yep.
That's a great name. That's a great nickname for your son. Come here, Little Sockeye. Hey, I want to remind everybody, Fish on Northwest is presented by Better Homes and Gardens Pacific Commons Real Estate, located in Puyallup, Washington. And of course, our great friends out there at Defiance Marine, manufacturers of the Allied series, also the Arima and Defiance boats. Check out everything you could ever want in a boat, and or repair and or parts as needed. The staff out there is fantastic. DefianceMarine.com. Go utilize their services, do us a solid, and help support our show through them. It all works. With that, we have a number of things to discuss. I want to remind everybody also, if you're looking for some herring, which you absolutely...
Oh, yeah. We went through 10 packs in Neha Bay.
And
we did.
It fished well, held up
Yes,
well,
we did.
full scales, good color, durable bait.
Shiny.
Looked good?
Looked really good.
Harbor Herring. Yep. Harbor Herring. Patrick Gaffney is the owner of Harbor Herring. Also, Patrick Gaffney's guide service. Look him up on Facebook. Look up Harbor Herring or Patrick Gaffney, and do us another favor and reach out to him. He puts together a fantastic product in both herring and anchovies now. Get him out there on the market. For locally here in Tacoma or throughout Tacoma or anywhere South Sound, you can find his products at Point Defiance Marina. A little further north, LFS Bellingham, Hungry Whale in Westport, a great place to stop and get bait always. And DG Bait out of Portland, of course, Fox Island Grocery. So he's got a smattering of locations around. Primarily he sells more wholesale side in Oregon, California, Alaska, but for recreational use and to get your hands on some fantastic bait, look up Harbor Herring and do him a favor. With that, we have some openings and closings going on. Tommy, not sure if you're aware of, and most of them, oddly enough, pertain to salmon. And you had just mentioned Kokanee, also little sockeye. We have a fishery opening. I don't want to say it's controversial, but it is receiving mixed support, I guess. So going into our season, as the season forecasted, the opportunity for sockeye on Baker Lake was not even on the table. Seemed like not going to have enough fish in the Skagit, not going to have enough fish at the fish trap to transport into the lake for recreational opportunity. They were hoping to meet escapement needs or broodstock escapement needs in both areas relative to those sockeye, which, in case people weren't aware, some of the best sockeye in our state, some of the biggest sockeye in our state come right out of that opportunity, either on Skagit when there's enough in the river to go after, and or once they put them up or transport them from fish trap up into the lake, okay? And the numbers were extremely low, so wasn't one to consider. But now, as is the case with a number of our fisheries, Columbia and a few others, and we'll get into that, the updated forecasts seem to be pretty favorable. And now discussions are on the table of opportunity. And one of the opportunities that they went ahead and authorized here coming up, Baker Lake sockeye opens for retention. I believe it's on the 18th. I failed to write that down. Nope, on the 18th. Yep, through September 7th. Preseason forecast indicated we wouldn't have enough. Now they've moved 2,300 fish up into the lake. They need 1,500 to meet escapement. So they put the fish up in the lake, let them go spawn naturally, 1,500 fish. So they've moved 2,300. So do the math there, engineer. We get 800 fish to go after, right?
There we go.
800 fish for a season set for July 18th through September 7th really isn't a lot of fish to be had. And if the fish are fairly fresh and they move up to that end of the lake and are snapping good, we can go through that in short order. So those who fish the lake on a regular basis, year in and year out, and have it dialed, indicate that, yeah, that's really not that much fish. They're excited to the point, if there is an abundance of fish now in the updated forecast and they're going to continue to put additional fish in the lake, now we're talking. But if it's a one and done, 2,300 fish, go get your 800. We're going to monitor it very closely with creel counts and flyovers if they even do that. In other words, they're going to keep tabs on it. But hey, at the end of the day, we do get an opportunity on sockeye that we thought we weren't going to get. And, that Baker Lake sockeye fishery is pretty fun. It's kind of a haul for guys like you and I to head clear up north, stay a couple days and go after it. But it's a great fishery. And if you've never done it, thought about doing it this year, now figured you weren't going to have an opportunity. Now you do, starting this weekend through September 7th. Coon shrimp on the troll, flat out gets it done. And
so that's the number one method is coon shrimp, not red hooks, not pink hoochie.
No,
it's all about the coon shrimp.
It's a much more successful bait fishery with coon shrimp year in and year out. The couple times I've gone up there and done it with my coon shrimp, it's proven to be
pretty lucrative.
And they're nice fish. Really nice fish, especially these early ones.
6 to 8 pound range.
Yes, 6 to 8 pound range. We got one that was 9 pounds one year. And, use your Kokanee gear. But bigger dodgers, use your larger dodgers. And tie basically same Kokanee rigs as you would, but make them bigger. Put them on 1/0 hooks. Okay. A little more spacing between your hooks and a little bigger flash presentation, larger smile blade or type of blade on there. Bottom line is, use your coon shrimp. Sand shrimp also work.
Now, is that the same preparation that you did in the how-to video for the coon shrimp, or is that just plain coon shrimp?
Same exact recipe.
Same recipe.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for those that have followed me for years, back in the day when I would cure up all these coon shrimp, different colors, different flavors and all that, I was fishing a ton for summer steelhead. And I was, putting them out there on divers, and I was tracking the results.
Right.
Okay, so, orange, blue, purple, red with this scent, red with that scent. It basically, over a couple of years, honed it into this color, this scent, that's all I need. And this color, this scent, this size, condition of shrimp for summer steelhead, fall Chinook, springers, sockeye, coho, chum. Guess what? It's worked for every one of them. Same color, same flavor, same recipe, same scent, the whole deal. And when we used them for sockeye, it was no surprise. It flat out worked fantastic.
Right on.
And if you have any guesses on that, just ask Mr. Herzog what he thinks is the best coon shrimp recipe out there to get sockeye. Either here at Baker on the west side, or go over there to Brewster, or any other parts of the Upper Columbia where they're getting after those sockeye right now. Coon shrimp with the right recipe will get it done. So you have that opportunity. Take advantage of it if you're so inclined. We'll kind of keep tabs on it. I don't know if we're going to have time to get up there. My boat's up north right now, so
the tuna are here too, so you know.
And and we still.
You're only an hour and a half away from your tuna port too, so.
This is true. An hour.
Are you gonna drive 8 hours to go east, or
no.
you gonna drive an hour and a half to get tuna?
We're gonna go get tuna.
I know it's a hard decision, but
I think that one's already been made for me, right?
Yep.
So we're gonna get some tuna for sure. Got to fit in some halibut fishery at some point too.
August 6th or the 8th, yeah.
Yeah. So we got a couple days. We'll get to that here in a couple weeks as we way late in the year still talking halibut.
Yeah.
How to go get them, what to use, kind of a reminder. Going to have a couple days opportunity because that's just like, okay, halibut, tuna. Guys like you are so frustrated with the fact that we have to pick and choose which day. What are we going to go after today?
I know. Well, and we're going to get into it too in our next segment, but I'm now worried about the quota again, of course.
You are?
Out of Neha Bay, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. With all the people taking coho, so we'll get into that. We'll talk that.
Yeah, same thing for Ilwacco. We'll get into that with Captain John Kaiser, by the way. Captain John Kaiser, South Patrol, will be on the show with us later on via phone. And Tom Tucker, 360 Fishing Guide, is also going to join us. And we're going to talk more so with the ocean coho fishery that he's been jumping after. As of late, has been producing fish as well. So, speaking of Columbia River, my friend, once again, additional extension on our summer Chinook opportunity, and they've reopened parts of the river for summer steelhead, which I didn't think was going to happen, but basically the numbers are coming in now that are pretty favorable, allowing us to have opportunity on both Chinook and summer steelhead. You got to keep in mind where this is at, though, and the dates are from today, July 16th through the 31st. Affected, this is from WDFW, Chinook and steelhead. Columbia River from the line projected from Rocky Point on the Washington side through the red buoy 44, which is basically, then you stretch from Tongue Point on the Oregon side upstream of Highway 395. So folks that fish that, they know exactly where that denotation line is that you can't exceed. Daily limit 2. Daily limit 2, and you would think it would be the other way, but only one steelhead in possession of your daily 2 limit, so you can actually keep 2 Chinook.
Right on.
2 adult Chinook. So not only did they bump that run forecast from 38,000 to 65,000, as we've talked about the last couple of weeks, now it's getting to a point in certain stretches of the river you get to keep 2 adult hatchery clipped Chinook. So got that going for you. Stumbled across this the other day via an email that I received, dug into it a little bit. Are you familiar with, or did you find any time to look up? I didn't say, hey, check this out, because I got far too busy.
Thanks for putting me on the spot, by the way.
Yeah, so that's not the point. I had put on here oursalmon.org. So Our Sound, Our Salmon. I read into this. I looked it up, and I thought, this sounds really good, but who's behind this and what's the end game, right? So I looked into it, and yes, this movement is facilitated by Wild Fish Conservancy, WFC, right? We all know the history, long-standing for a number of years, and the lawsuits that they would bring forth against WDFW and trying to prevent them from putting hatcheries
in place. Yeah, right.
And so there's a lot of contention there. There's a lot of folks that aren't in favor of anything that has their name associated with it. Like the Pound Net down there in the Lower Columbia as a testing facility, testing ground for commercially selectively harvesting Chinook salmon. Is it going to be profitable? Is it lucrative for commercial guys to come together and work that type of a trap situation and release wild fish? And You go into it all looks good, and then you see WFC has their name attached to it, and right away you're kind of like, whoa, what's truly going on here when you peel back this onion? Well, we had Chase Gunnell in here not too long ago, second time on the show, several months ago, and we were talking about the lawsuit that WFC had filed against the company that is basically, and this is longstanding, Cook Agriculture for the net pens up in the Sound, and that they were seeking permitting process through WDFW in the state to authorize them to change out their Atlantic salmon to so-called steelhead, which are basically kind of a glorified title for a triploid rainbow. Okay, so that is the transition. Cook's Agriculture was seeking permitting process to simply remove, because Congress passed that they would have to be out of the waters with Atlantic salmon by 2022. Okay, so Cook Agriculture would no longer be permitted to have Atlantic salmon in Pacific waters. Okay, billion-dollar industry. They're using public waters because they lease public waters. No different than any type of other agriculture or aquaculture. You lease public land or you lease waters to run your business. Sure. So they had been permitted to do the Atlantic salmon. We all know the failure in what that did and the devastation, the aftermath of that, the cover-up, the lawsuits, all the things that went into that. Then a couple years down the road, they seek permitting for so-called steelhead. Barnum and I talked about this last year. It's been a long going, drawn-out deal, right? So there's a permitting process involved with that, and so they get permitted to lease the waters from basically, Commissioner Hillary Franz in Department of Natural Resources. They authorize part of that as well. They have their hand in it, WDFW. There's this whole permitting process and at the governmental level. So the lease that they sought was for an extended amount of time. WFC and all their folks working behind the scenes, digging up the information they need to seek out, have unveiled that, they're only permitted through 2022. So they had already put out notification. Now they are proclaiming today our salmon. Our Salmon launched the Taking Back of Our Sound campaign to prevent the commercial open water net pen industry from continuing to lease our public waters. So on the front side, when we see WFC, we kind of go, what's going on here? Right. And I guess my point back to Chase was, hey, if these guys and their money and their lawyers and they want to go fight this fight behind the scenes and push Cook's Agriculture out of our waters, I don't see the downside to that. They're fighting the fight. Just let them spend their money. Let them go. Yeah. Let their attorneys fight it out in court. Let them take this invasive species Atlantic salmon and their net pen and their lack of maintenance and their biomass concern to our environment, and let them just push them on right on out of here. So as it stems further now, we submitted formal applications to the Department of Natural Resources to lease the same public waters. We've submitted permitting process. The WFC. To lease the same existing waters held by Cook's existing or recently terminated leases for the Taking Back of Our Sound restoration project. Their intent on that, in accordance with existing public use regulations, Taking Back Our Sound restoration project seeks to use these waters for the sole purpose of restoring these industrialized aquatic lands to their natural state. Also, it goes on further to say, restoring full access to the 130 acres of aquatic lands to the public for their benefit, use and enjoyment for the first time in over 30 years. So when you read this, you go, okay, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm waiting for the downside. I'm waiting for something that's going to make me not want to support this. But I've read through everything I could find on it. They're basically challenging. They've put it to Hillary Franz, Commissioner of Public Lands, to say, hey, we want the permits. Their permit date ends here. Moving forward, we want to be permitted. What are you going to do with those lands? Well, we're not going to commercially harvest fish. We're not going to have anything in the water. We're not going to have a biomass of net pens. We're not going to have any company staked in there doing anything. We're going to open up the waters and public can enjoy them and just, here you go. So I'm very curious to where this is going to go.
Right. And now, is it just that same area that the net pens occupied, or is it a larger area?
It says 130 acres. So
Okay.
it's got to be whatever their footprint of 130 acres is that they currently lease, and they have net pens in whatever locations.
Yeah.
It's all inclusive of that 130 acres.
Okay.
So they want to take that over via permitting because it's achievable. Mm-hmm. If they submit and whatever the process is, and if Hillary Franz says, okay, you guys have been awarded the permit, and whether that's a 30-year permit or a 10-year permit, and they got to resubmit or whatever the process is. But I found it interesting that once again, excuse me, they're battling it out in court on behalf of our state and recreational folks, and all that's connected to that.
But they also referenced in their restoration projects, right? I'm curious what that really indicates.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything to substantiate what these bullet points are, restoring, these industrial aquatic lands to their natural state. I would say that probably is generic for, once they remove all their stuff, we're restoring this back to its natural state. In other words, nothing in the water, nothing, no harvesting, nothing. So
yeah. Time will tell.
Yeah, interesting article. So, again, we're going to just kind of follow that and see where it goes. Again, if they're willing to fight the fight behind the scenes, I say let them go for it. I want you guys to weigh in here. Let us know what you think. I know we have talked extensively about WFC in the past and past practices and lawsuits and the lack of steelhead plants and hatchery versus wild and all those things. And they're in it for the profit. They follow these lawsuits to make money at it, and they do a very good job. They're pretty crafty. But what's your stance when they take this on behalf of Washington State, the environment, and on the surface make it look like they're doing something beneficial? So I'm curious where this is going to go. So if you guys have some insight, have some things you want to throw at us for Tommy and I to mull over here, light us up here on the board. Got plenty of people chiming in, that's for sure. So we'll look at these during the break and see if we can't get back to a few folks. With that, I want to remind everybody, look, we've had candidate Chief Culp, in our studio multiple times. We have supported him in his endeavors to become governor of the state of Washington. We cover a lot of ground here on this show. We cover a lot of things relevant to fishing and hunting. I enjoy having you crack my skull on the fact that I don't catch fish, which is great. So there's a lot of things to talk about. And yeah, you know what? We're proud of the fact at times we get a little political in nature because there's a lot of other fishing hunting shows out there that won't touch the topics. They're held down by the powers that be that govern their ability to broadcast. And it's like, you will not talk about that. Well, Tommy, we will talk about it. And it may cost us some viewers at times, but over the course of a year or a couple of years or whatever the span is, and our content is up and down and all over the place, and we try to bring relevant information, I think it's important on a year where a governor candidate and the seat of the governor's seat in our state currently is so critically important to the future of our state. Not just in fishing and hunting, but for all the other reasons of things going on that people are very frustrated about. So we made it known early on that, hey, we like what this man stands for. The sportsman in us supports this man for his position on a number of things in fishing and hunting, land management, habitat restoration, all the things we constantly talk about, predation control, things that he rattled off that I guarantee you don't hear other candidates speak of. It was a little disheartening this last week for a lot of you guys, and we got a lot of messages in regards to this, that when the voter pamphlets came out with the information sheets, one, Lauren Culp was pushed all the way to the very back, barely even registered, where the front runner on the Republican ticket, the guy so far out in front, other camps are nervous. They take him, stuff him all the way in the back, okay? Not only did the Secretary of State's office put him in the very back, they failed to put in all the supportive information for candidate Culp.
Right, it was blank.
It said not submitted.
How convenient.
There were some information that came out via social media that indicated that it was submitted 2 or 3 times. From the Secretary of State's office, it was a server error. of sorts. How do you get a couple paragraphs in there and all the rest of the information left out?
You're kidding.
Well, I find it very interesting in how this whole thing has unfolded, and it doesn't seem like there's been a lot of effort on the part of the state to, fix this snafu. There's been no indication they're going to come out with any additional information to let the voters truly get to know who Loren Culp is, or on his behalf make the field play, make the play fair and say, hey, here's all the information on this guy, and oh, by the way, we're going to mail out this additional pamphlet to say this is the information you should have received on Loren Culp, so you can make an educated decision.
Yeah.
So just making you folks aware, there's a lot of support for him through our show and surrounding that, hey, his information isn't out there, but it's not stopping him, and he's got things going on. Well,
so the thing that I think about, just to really simplify it, is it doesn't really matter what party you associate yourself with.
Right.
If Culp would have been governor this year, you would not have seen a 100% shutdown of our fisheries across the board, across the entire state. That would not have happened.
Not only fishing, public lands.
Right. You
water
couldn't go
access,
for a hike.
State lands all shut down. No camping. Not allow you to get outside and go do anything and get away from people. But go to the big box stores and make sure you get your yard work done.
That's right.
So, and we're not going to jump into all that again. I guess the point is that candidate Culp, Chief Culp, has not been fairly represented in the voters' pamphlet. So for those that support him and want to continue to support him, make folks aware in your network that the information isn't there, but I assure you here's what he stands for. Direct them to where you can find the information about him, and go to social media and look up the other candidates as well. That's where you do your comparison. Look at what's going on the social media platform for some of the other candidates, and look what's going on with Loren Culp. The amount of followers. He popped on last night. Within a couple hours, had over 30,000 views on his impromptu video. Are you kidding me? Folks are following what he has going on, and it's pretty impressive. That being said, he has a live country music concert coming up July 25th up there in Buckley. Sherry and I got our tickets in the hotel room. We're staying up there, enjoying the weekend and having a great time. Outdoor country venue, wine and beer, just a good time, right? They are also having a live auction. They're putting on a live auction at this event. So we are reaching out to a lot of our friends, outfitters, guides, captains of boats, charter captains, what have you. Anybody that's in a position to offer up perhaps 2 seats for a trip to be auctioned off at the Culp Rally, the country music bash on July 25th. If we can get a couple folks to step up. If you have, if you're a rod manufacturer, want to donate a couple fishing rods, a bow, any other thing, any other stuff that is usable in the outdoors relative to fishing and hunting, and or as an outfitter, you want to step up and provide a day for a couple folks to join you on the boat. All the proceeds go to Loren Culp's campaign through this live auction, which will take place on July 25th at the live concert. So that's something to look into. And if you want to hit us up messages here tonight, let us know that you're interested in helping out, and then we can contact you later. Go ahead and throw it up here on our messenger, and we will certainly get in contact with you in short order. So with that, Tommy, we have a bunch of other info to get to. We're going to jump out for a quick break, try to get the phone situation resolved, as we do have a couple guests.
It's looking better already.
Line up, is it?
Yes, it is.
I think I got, we may have, yep, it looks like I may be back online here. So for some reason, we lost connectivity here for a while. I'm not sure what's going on with Verizon, but we will get through it one way or another. Later in the show, yes, we will be talking to Captain John Kaiser, Salt Patrol, and of course, later on in the show, closing it out, Tom Tucker's joining us again, 360 Fishing. Both these guys are in an area that salmon fishing is pretty darn good. With John, we'll mostly focus on that Chinook fishing out of Ilwacco, and with Tom, we will be out in the ocean for those early coho. And the encouraging thing there is, those coho that they're getting into right now are nice size for mid-July. They're talking decent sized coho. Some of the bigger ones they've seen in a couple of years. So that's encouraging.
Right on.
That makes us feel like ocean conditions are kind of returning back to favorable.
There's a lot of bait out there. Let me tell you what, Neha Bay, Sekiu, unreal.
Yeah.
Yeah, those fish are feeding.
Okay, with that, we're going to jump out for a quick break. We come back. You and I are going to run down a couple of those topics. Sekiu, Neha Bay, once again, you and Jerry headed out there last week after the show. Yeah. Had a pretty successful outing.
It's phenomenal.
You and a handful of other guys out there joined you and had a good time. Bo made it out there too.
He did.
Bo Palmer, owner of Defiance Marine. Yes.
He was out there whacking them as well.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about today's opener in Area 9 and 10 and the fact that we did catch fish. Contrary to popular belief.
Oh, sorry.
So we'll break that down with you when we come back. Jump out for a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Stick with us to the break. We'll be back right here on FHN.
Marine is the one-stop shop for the Pacific Northwest angler. Whether you are looking for a small skiff to fish the Sound or rivers or a huge offshore tuna machine, Defiance Marine has it. At Defiance Marine, be sure to power your boat with a Honda outboard package. Take advantage of the reliability and 5-year top-to-prop warranty on your Honda outboards. Our service department is always here to help and serve you as the customer. Did you know Defiance Marine has boat financing experts to help get you the best term rates on your new boat purchase? If you need financing for that new boat, call us today. We guarantee the best price, best service on a repower for your current boat. Defiance Marine is a Honda Premier dealership and one of the largest on the West Coast. Defiance Marine also carries all the gear that you will need. Everything from auxiliary kicker motors to fishing tackle and bait. Defiance Marine has certified technicians that are top-notch at their job. Some of the best in the Pacific Northwest at evaluating your boat issues and problems. Stop in today or give us a call for all your needs at Defiance Marine.
It's easier than ever to browse homes and connect with an agent on the go with Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate's mobile app. With the app, your home search is synced across all of your devices, so you can pick up your home search anytime, anywhere. Take full advantage of an enriched, mobile-optimized map search experience. Use location services to quickly find homes near you that match your search criteria. Draw your own map boundaries to find homes in a specific area, and apply layers to view school districts, neighborhoods, zip codes, and more. The app's user-friendly design makes it easier than ever to find a home you'll love. Narrow down your search results, save your search criteria, and save your favorite homes. You can browse your saved homes in a list view that puts photos and key details like price and square footage right at your fingertips. Or check out your saved homes displayed on the map.
Hey, welcome back to FHN. Dwayne England, Tommy Donlin in studio. Josh over there making this whole thing go around and doing a fantastic job, by the way.
Absolutely.
He got up as earlier.
Golf clap.
Yeah, earlier than me to meet us up there at Kingston.
Yeah, so he was up by 7 a.m.
Oh, yeah, because I got up at 8. I don't know what time he got up. I was up by 3:30.
Oh, okay.
So, which I felt was early enough based on the tides today. And you know what? Lo and behold, it probably was.
Yeah.
So, before we jump into the Area 9-10 opener, and you can sit here and kick me in the face, let's talk about your successful outing once again to Sekiu. Last week when we reconvened on the show, you had come back from there the week previous. And we talked about how successful it was fishing inside there at Sekiu.
Right.
And just the amount of bait and the different tactics and the gear you guys deployed and how successful it was. You go back a week later, kind of a different program.
Yeah, it was a little bit different program, but you know, they were still catching a few kings right outside Sekiu slip point. The problem now, of course, is that the quota is at 82%. So that Area 5 quota is just getting eaten up really fast. And the other thing is that, you know, Area 4, which we've talked about their quota and trying to pull in Area 3 quota and Area 4 for the kings.
Yeah.
The Coho quota is already at 50% or just above 50% as of July 12th.
For Area 4?
For Area 4.
Yeah.
And so my advice to guys, quit keeping the Coho. Stop it.
Yes.
You know, and I know we got some nice Coho like right outside Ilwacco.
Yeah.
In Neha Bay though, they're still the little, you know, cookie cutter, whatever, 2.5, 3 pound Kokanee basically, right? And you know what? If we want to see this season go through July, you got to stop keeping the Coho. You'll be able to keep your Coho later.
Do you think
let's get the kings now?
Do you think some folks don't understand that there's a quota on Chinook, but we also fish up against impacts?
Right.
We also fish up against a quote on the Coho, which is a narrow margin this year on some of these ocean opportunities. And if you're going to close that door in short order, you don't get to go after kings anymore.
It's hard, and not, so the king fishing this last weekend, we got him in one day on the beach, okay? 35 feet of water to about 80 feet of water. It was awesome. We'll talk about that a little bit. But then the other 2 days, we were fishing 300 feet of water with 250 feet on the rigger, right? And so I understand the aggravation that can come with trying to target kings at that depth. And that will lead some people to want to keep that little 2-pound coho that they're catching so that they can take something home. I totally get it. But in terms of wanting to fish for a longer season, the only key to that is to let those coho go. We have enough Chinook quota, but if we retain those coho and that little tiny coho quota gets eaten up, even though we've got 70% of the king quota or whatever that number is left, as soon as we hit that coho impact, it's over. It's over. We're not king fishing. We're not coho fishing. We're not fishing for any kind of salmonoid out in Area 4. So that's my advice. I know it's hard to take a little bit if you're wanting to keep something, but that's definitely the key. Now on the fishing front, the first week it was open out of Area 5. It was on fire at Slip Point, like literally 2 miles from the dock, trolling anywhere from 140 to 250 feet of water, and you were getting your Chinook limit just like that. Everybody was getting them. They were up high in the water column, 60 feet in the morning, and then they'd kind of sink down a little bit. But it didn't really matter what you drug in the water as long as it was kind of that small size, and guys were getting them. Those fish have kind of moved on, pushed through. And now the bite's really occurring out in that Area 4, stage off of Wada Island, around the corner south of Tatoosh. So the first day we went out, we had the 32 Liberator, the A-Team boat, Allied boats, and twin 300 Yamahas on the back. Not a slow boat by any means. No. Cruised out there with our good friend Mike Sertic. And, put lines in. And for anybody that doesn't know, Mike Sertic is like a herring specialist, right? Spends a lot of time up at Rivers Inlet, spinning like blue label, purple label, black label herring for big 50-pound, 60-pound Chinook, right? So anytime you can have Mike Sertic on a trip for salmon, you're doing really well, right?
Sure, yeah.
And so we played that entire bait game, and we ran that green label herring from Harbor Herring, right? All brined up in heads. And we had herring all the way around on the stinger rig down the middle with just 4 ounces of lead. On both riggers, it was nothing but bait and flasher. Okay, and it didn't matter if we were running in 200 feet of water or if we were running up on the beach in 40 feet of water. We were always running that combo. So all of those really nice kings that we got on that first day, they all came on that Harbor Herring bait. All on bait.
Yeah.
All on bait.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And it was so good. It was like, and I liken Neha Bay to Jurassic Park at times. It's like you go to this place, this mystical place, it's loaded with bait, your sonar fills up, and there's more bait on the screen than there is like free water or dead water, right? And that's what we saw out there. And you could see it all come together. There was whales in 50 feet of water. There was all of your diver ducks. They were all grouped up making dives. Yeah. The salmon were pushing the bait up to the surface. The seagulls were sitting there and just gorging themselves, not even having to work, just eating the bait right on the surface. And then you'd kind of skirt the edge of the birds, and you would see on your sonar the Chinook actively feeding on those bait balls, making passes through the bait balls, right? Yeah. And there was dolphins there. And we had gotten a couple fish on board, and we were making a pass, and I was dropping in the stinger rig, the 4-ounce lead, with just a whole green label. And as soon as I dropped it into that bait ball where those Chinook were actively feeding, I got hammered, and I got freight trained. And this fish is dumping line off the reel, and I'm looking behind the boat. I'm waiting for it to stop, so I can start putting the heat to it, and it wasn't stopping. And all of a sudden, I kind of start getting some line on the reel, and I look back, and here's this sea lion sitting back there about 80, 90 yards, right? Well, Mike, he's not going to let the sea lion get my fish, right? Yeah, absolutely. And so he puts the 600 horses to use, and he, slams on the throttles and puts us between, the sea lion or where it was and this fish. And unfortunately, he forced me to use knuckle busters. I'm sorry, Mike, but I got to tell the truth. Okay, knuckle busters, 1-to-1 gear ratio. 1-to-1 gear ratio.
You just got to reel faster, son.
1-to-1 gear ratio against 600 horses. It ain't going to work.
Right.
You're going to lose every time.
Yeah.
He got a little excited with the throttle. He forgot he wasn't running an 8-horse kicker. And long story short, that fish I think escaped unharmed, which is a good thing.
Because Mike spooled you.
Because Mike himself spooled me. Right.
With 300 horses, Mike spooled
and he's
you.
like, see, how do you like those center pin reels?
Yeah.
But the lever drags got to play too, and then. The next 2 days was a completely different game. The bait wasn't in there on the beach like it was the day before. The birds really didn't gather the way they had the day before, but all those fish were stacked off of Watto Island right in front of Neha Bay. And we were getting them in anywhere from about 200 to 400 feet of water and fishing deep on the rigger. And, and that's where all of our silver horde spoons came into play. We got them on coho killers.
Oh, you did?
Yep. We got them on Irish cream tail waggers. Yep. So we started to play that game. We still got a couple on bait, but it was really focused more on that gear game the second couple of days. And, Saturday it was really lucrative. Guys that were out there early first light, they were limiting out and going back, and if you didn't get your limit in the morning, it was typically a grind for the rest of that day to get all of your fish. But the fishing was still really good. I would say the average was over 50% for most boats. So still pretty good contact with the Chinook salmon. Yeah, absolutely.
So we're deep into that quota. You got any? What are you doing next weekend? You running back out there? I
want to get some Dungeness crab in my freezer.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That makes sense.
I got some crab. But I will say, there was an epic blue dot bite. The entire commercial fleet was at Blue Dot. Now Blue Dot's about 28 nautical miles from Cape Flattery, offshore.
Okay.
And Todd Gertz got into him. Todd's Extreme Fishing. Yeah, he got into him good.
Oh, he did.
And he got into some really nice, like mid 20 grade fish.
Nice.
20 pound, grade fish. Yeah. And he had one that he said was, a real one, like, 30 plus. Peeled line, never looked back and spit the hook and said no thank you. So there was definitely a really solid bite going on way offshore as well for people that wanted to run out. The surprising thing about Neha Bay right now is that Swiftsure is not really happening, which just is blowing my mind, because Swiftsure is just like the bait mecca capital of Neha Bay and Area 4, and there's just the Chinook are not biting there. So I don't know what the reason for that is.
What's going on?
But it just hasn't been lucrative yet. I think it'll turn on. I think it's a matter of time, but it's really surprising to see like a really good bite right off Wada and not exactly have that same production out on Swiftsure Bank. So we're still watching that as well, but there's a lot of bait out there on the ocean. Even down at Shark Fin, which is kind of the southern part of Area 4, your transducer's pinging bait from, it's about a 430, 450 foot area, and you're marking bait from 200 feet to the bottom. So I think the really good message is that in terms of salmon health in the Sound and in the ocean, there's so much bait out there. There's bait everywhere. So that is something that I'm really happy to see. I would say from a year-to-year perspective, it's probably the most bait that I've seen up there in 8 to 10 years.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh, yeah.
That good?
Yep.
Oh, that's impressive.
Definitely.
So switching gears a little bit, pulling it inside here, the old Puget Sound, as we love. What's your thoughts, what's your beliefs on barometric pressure and how it reacts on salmon, or how salmon react?
I think when you're doing shallow water fisheries, I think it has a larger effect when you're fishing in on the beach 50 feet or less. If you're fishing deep, I think it doesn't have as much of an effect. I think more associated with the pressure is what is the weather system itself doing? Are you getting some rain? Is it pushing fish around? More of that. I think that, a lot of people struggled this morning on Puget Sound, and it's probably because all of those fish they're trying to catch, I've already stuck a hook in their face. You know what I mean?
you and an army of folks in the last couple of weeks, right?
So they've seen it all.
Parts of Area 9 and maybe a few areas in and around 10, people poked around and found scratched one out here and there, but I mean, the phone tree was lit up. Guys were calling me, I'm calling them, trying to figure out what's going on, pin this down. We had an 8:30, 8:40 low tide. So fished the first few hours in the morning on that outgo and then flip it around, and we got that incoming tide. And I'm thinking, well, it hasn't really taken off here on this outgo, which there's stretches there along 10, along President's, or top of Jeff Head and whatnot last year before. Even on that outgo, fished really well. Now, that being said, last year, season didn't open until July 25th. My first time on the water last year was July 28th, 3 days into the season, and there were a ton of fish around and tons of bait. It was fantastic. And we had some double-digit days out there that first week and a week and a half. As we rolled into the first week of August, well, we're backed up. We're mid-July right now, and there's fish getting marked, and there were clouds of bait here and there. Some areas there were walls of bait, and it's moving around. But for guys that I talked to that were beating up on possession all day, they marked a bunch of fish at times, but just couldn't get them to snap. And ones and twos, a couple fish in this boat, a couple fish in that boat. Other than that, I heard one here, one there. Some small fish, nothing real big. Our buddy Matt Messing ended up pulling one out about 11 o'clock in the afternoon, which was a couple hours into the flood. Nice 15-pounder, and other than that, he banged out a few coho. Mike Ainsworth was out there beating on it, and he ended up with some nice coho. Said he got about a 6 to 8 pound coho, which surprised him, which was impressive. That's impressive, right? Mixed in with all them small resi cohos. So. As far as what I was exposed to, bits of frustration and some things going on, running gear this morning, currents, and up there at top in the bowl, just getting pushed and just very frustrating. I settled down a little after I talked to a handful of folks and realized I'm not as big an idiot as I think I am, and it wasn't just me. There was some stuff going on with those currents, whether it's upwelling in there or just how it was getting shifted, just really pushing your stuff off to, I'm just like, I don't know what's going on here. We got to get out of here. So probably wasted too much time trying to fish an area I probably shouldn't have focused on. It should have bounced down a little further. And lo and behold, ran down there, and first stretch in, 5 minutes in, get a, I don't know, 24-inch Chinook we kicked back. But wasn't what I anticipated. I really thought things were going to be more so on fire. I really anticipated tying into a few fish this morning.
A couple things. I'm interested to see how people do this evening. Because I think that'll give more of a total picture as how, the overall day goes for people. If it was just the tide in the morning and the current situation, or if it's just the overall situation for a day. And the other thing is tomorrow's a completely new day. We're supposed to get some rain. And that is going to change the atmosphere completely. So I wouldn't use today as a judgment on how the fishing is.
No, today's today, right? I reset starting tomorrow. Tomorrow's like, okay, we're starting over, and here's our game plan today. We're going to go after it, and if that doesn't materialize, we're going to bounce to here. Which direction is the water flowing, and how strong is the current? We're going to fish this. We're going to fish that. Lots of yellowtail rockfish around. And what's interesting?
That's a good sign.
It's a healthy sign. Plus all the bait, right? I mean, I told you a couple of years ago, I wasn't hooking yellowtail rockfish out there like this. And now, didn't matter if it was a hoochie or a spoon, you get it down there within close proximity in the dirt where you want to find some of them Chinook, and rod's going off, another damn rockfish, another rockfish. And that happened repeatedly in multiple areas, and it wasn't just us. Everybody I talked to on the phone today, damn rockfish. The damn rockfish. That's
a great sign. That's a really great sign.
For ecosystem overall and health of our water, absolutely.
Now, friendly reminder for people. So, when you are releasing rockfish, it's one thing if it's a yellowtail rockfish because they can descend quickly. They don't have an air bladder problem. They don't float. But if you're into like the yellow eyes, the canaries, the vermilions, the quillbacks, those other rockfish, they totally need your help getting back down. So even though you're only salmon fishing, don't forget your descender device so that you can get that rockfish back down at the bottom, right? Because that is, we've proven that works. We've proven that allows that fish to survive into the next year and continue to spawn. So just keep that in mind. It's going to take a little bit of your time to release it, but it's totally worth it in terms of the sustainment of our fishery.
Very, very good point. Number of comments on here. The tide was ripping this morning, made it tough. On the phone tonight with a couple buddies, says it's absolutely dead. So for this tonight's fishery, but I guess it depends where you are too, because you were holding firm that the bite went off at 9 o'clock on possession. That's where you should have been. There probably was a bite that went off at possession at 9 o'clock. So doing my math correctly, being on the water by 6 or so, I would have been there just in time. But salmon fishing, man, it'll go off here. nothing over here, pop a couple over here, salmon fishing. And you're right, we don't set the season based on today on the opener.
Right.
We got a good amount of days to still get after it, and we will be out there. And those fish are coming.
Yep.
You know, and they'll get back on the snap for the ones that were there. So.
And you can always blame Josh.
Oh, I did all day long. Oh, I beat that kid.
Right. I mean, it's totally his fault. And, and if it wasn't his fault, it's definitely the boat's fault.
Well, I made him dye his hair red before he showed up.
Oh, okay.
Because he was my stepson.
There you go.
And then I just waylay on him. Just all day long. It's just his fault, right? So, all right. Well, good recap of Sekiu, Neha Bay. If you got out today on the opener, Puget Sound, hopefully you found some success. There is some fish happening in Area 11, too. Don't discount.
Yep.
Out there by Point Defiance and the Clay Banks, and some of the jiggers are doing well, and then guys in the troll are popping some decent sized fish. And that's the interesting thing too, is some of the size of these fish on these openers, especially last week, even with Area 11. So
well, and we don't talk about it a lot, but the crabbing's been phenomenal too. It has been good. Guys are getting their Dungeness crab, limiting out, releasing, dumping pots. Yep. So don't forget the crab.
Good recap. We are going to jump out for a break. Hopefully the phone's going to work at the break, and if not, we'll have to punt and figure something out. But Captain John Kaiser is going to join us next. Salt Patrol, you all know who he is. He's been a phenomenal individual in the Northwest for a number of years. Very, very savvy when it comes to seeking out and destroying salmon. So,
absolutely.
We will get Captain John Kaiser on the phone at the break. Don't go anywhere. Stick with us. We'll be back on FHN right after this.
A Northwest favorite for almost 40 years, Arima boats are manufactured with pride right here in Bremerton, Washington. Arima Boats offers all of our boats with Honda outboard packages so that you can take full advantage of the reliability and 5-year top-to-prop warranty from your Honda outboard. With literally thousands of Arima boats on the water throughout the Pacific Northwest, Arima boats are a proven hull design that offers incredible fuel economy and all of the amenities that a serious angler is looking for. All Arima boats are built without any structural wood materials. That is why we back our boats with a lifetime warranty. All of our Arima boats are designed to maximize deck space while also providing ample seating. Contact us today at Arima Boats for all your boating needs and let us help you get out on the water.
Welcome back, Fish on Northwest. Joining with Tommy Donlin in studio. On the phone with us, our good buddy, Coach Keizer, as we called him back in the day. John Kaiser, Salt Patrol. How you doing, John?
I'm good. Good to hear from you guys. How you doing, Tommy?
Doing well. Just come back from a banner weekend up at Neha Bay.
Yeah, I heard there's been some nice fish up there. So.
There is. I'm sure they're headed your direction now.
That's a good thing.
Yep.
Because John is anchored in and willing and able to receive them.
Oh, yeah.
That's his plan. So, John, for years, you've kind of been synonymous with setting up fish camp at Westport and just putting in your time and, always posting pictures of nice fish and on that program and doing well. And we've had you on the show in the past to talk about the nearshore fishery and then out in the ocean. And that's been kind of your go-to game plan for a number of years. This year you kind of changed it up and have located somewhere else. Where are you at and what prompted the change?
Well, I'm in Ilwacco, just a little bit south of Westport. I just looked at the current situation and, what we're looking at numbers-wise and fishing days. And it just seemed like, that it was just going to be a better shot for me. I mean, I could do everything. Most of those fish are coming down to Columbia. So, you're right there to head them off. And then it's closer to tuna too, I'm sure Tommy can comment on that, but the guys over there are already running south and they're getting fish. So.
Yeah.
Right.
There's just a few more opportunities, plus buoy 10, so you have that inside fishery. It's going to kick off in the middle of August too. So, yeah. And boats fast enough, I can be up in area too, and I have been for a couple of days last week. So it's not too bad. So,
are most of those fish that you're catching, John, are those lower River Columbia fish, or what run are you predominantly catching? Do you know?
No tulies, my friend.
No tulies. Let's make that perfectly clear.
No tulies. All bright, very bright fish. I mean, we were talking to Eric Lindy the other day, and they're still getting springers up in there. So, I mean, these fish are just thick-shouldered, beautiful. I mean, some of the healthiest kings I've seen in a long time.
Wow. That's awesome.
I mean, it's just, you've probably seen it, just the same fish, but I mean, God, they're just, you look at them and you're holding them and you're trying to take a picture of them and they look like your average king. But if you turn them sideways, I mean, they're just thick. I mean, the shoulders on them are so big, It's just, it's been a lot of fun.
Just like me.
Just big and thick shoulders, thick head too, right? And Chinook got the big, thick heads this year, so can't discount that. Let's talk a little bit about technique and approach. Kind of where you finding them, depth of water you're fishing, how deep we on the cable, and what's kind of your go-to pattern that's been producing results for you.
Well, on the beach, we started out fishing the beach quite a bit, and we still are. In fact, we'll be back there the next day or two. But divers on the beach, usually bait, sometimes silverhorn kingfishers or tail waggers work, but basically diver, 40 feet of water, down there you're fishing just off of Long Beach, so, and there's certain areas in there that seem to hold fish a little bit more and, kind of trolling through there and picking them up, but very aggressive hits. I mean, none of this like, tap. I mean, you're just grabbing it and they'll run out.
That's so awesome in shallow water.
Oh, man.
Yeah. That's a dream. Are you running those diver rods? Are you running them naked or are you running with the fish flash of some sort?
What I've been doing is slider with the diver on the slider.
Yep.
And then a fish flash and then back to a bait. Say it's a bait. And then it suddenly drags loose. So, you're all in, and let them grab it and go. Let them with those baits, man. Let them pick it up, let them roll, and they turn around and go. And we've had pretty good luck with the spin fish too. But you put it in the water, it looks just like one of the baits. So it's, pretty good.
How much of a dropper are you running on your diver?
About 8 to 10 inches of like 300-pound test.
Right
so
on.
It keeps it from tangling with the main line. Yeah.
So I really like that approach. I was doing that out of Westport a few years ago. I didn't know anybody else did that. But, the problem with the diver is that if you put it in line, then that fish has got to tow that diver everywhere with it, right? So putting it on that, on the dropper, on a slider, man, it just makes it really smooth.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. If people don't know what we're talking about, I just put a video up on how to rig this today. So they can catch that on. Yeah. So
did you post that up on Salt Patrol? Oh, you put it on Facebook? Okay.
It's on Facebook right now or on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, either one. So
Right on.
But then the other thing is the typical downrigger fishery. We've been doing well a little bit north, more up towards the bottom of the Willapa out there, that area between the canyon where it kind of shoots in and the beach. The fish kind of funnel through there and out in that 200-foot water. And we pick them up out there. We're probably fishing 120 feet, trolling, typical downrigger trolling, flasher and a hoochie kind of deal. So, and caught a few nice fish out of there too. So
nice.
What's your favorite hoochie for that fish, or your favorite couple hoochies?
My favorite couple of hoochies, probably purple haze and, maybe the cuttlefish. And the other one would be 742.
Yeah.
Which, if people don't know what it is, it's kind of yellowish with a little bit of blue. And
Yeah. Right on.
Those work good.
Yeah. So you're going to basically be there through buoy 10. You're gonna creep on up into buoy 10.
I will be there. I believe we have to see what's going on, guys.
Yeah.
We're at 60% of the Coho already.
That was
there.
the next
The Coho are parked out front of the bay. I mean, right out front of the river. And everybody's just going out there and catching their 3 or 4 pound Coho and coming back in. And if they don't shut it down pretty soon, then we're going to lose the king season, which is going to be a shame because nice fish coming. So
how do we educate people, John? I mean, this is something that I struggle with.
It's hard, man. I mean, we don't even target them. I mean, we don't even we go out,
right?
We get with them, we let them go. We don't even mess with them, unless we have to kill one accidentally. And but it's hard because people that don't fish like we do, and we're not on the water all the time, they don't understand. It's just good fishing to them, and they want to get their fish before. So it's hard to do. It's just really, really hard to do. So, but it says a lot, and I'm sure I don't have to tell Tommy. There's just so many Coho out in the ocean. I mean, there's just schools of Coho coming down.
Yeah. They're hitting your downrigger release.
Can't do any mid-season adjustments,
Well, that's the thing. I mean, that may bode well for later in our fall fisheries, and for folks that don't get opportunity out in the oceans, they can look at those terminal fisheries, and some of our Coho fisheries this fall could be pretty strong, not necessarily forecasted to be as such. And look at what's happening. I mean, the increased forecast or the updated forecast for that summer Chinook fishery on the Columbia, along with steelhead this last week. Baker Lake, we got this short window or opportunity now for Baker Lake sockeye. So there's a number of these runs that are being updated now. The mindset also is always, well, did they really come in a low ball so that they made sure they didn't overshoot for once? And then it's always a blessing when they can increase those numbers. But who's to say, John? If there's a ton of Coho out there, that's always a good thing. If we can stay off of them to a point, so we can get opportunity on, maximize our quotas on those Chinook as we're talking about, that would be truly the best case scenario.
Yeah, it would be the blessing. For
Absolutely.
Sure.
So, well, hey, always appreciate you taking time to dial us in, spool us up on exactly the fisheries that you are partaking in, and as would be expected, you are not short on finding success. So, always good to check in, my friend, and don't be a stranger.
Not a problem. And I'm sure I'll see you during tuna season, Tommy.
Hey, amen. Hey, we'll see you soon, brother.
All right, you guys take care.
All right, have a good night, John. Thank you.
Bye.
Well, there you go, Mr. Salt Patrol himself.
There's a couple guys growing up that I always looked up to, and they were kind of my mentors in this like ocean fishing game, and even in the Sound. And it was John Kaiser and Tom Nelson. And even as a kid, I'd sit, even in the Kingdom, sit in some of the seminars and I've still got my notes from when I was a kid listening to these guys. And it's hilarious. It's in cursive. And I've got diagrams. And I had pre-staged questions that I had written down, and I would go to John or Tom, and I would be ready to ask that question and then just soak everything in that they would say. So, John Kaiser, absolute phenomenal salmon fisherman, and tuna, of course, and the other fisheries. But I always just be quiet and listen when they speak. When
it comes to their seminars, years past, I mean, even with, old school PowerPoint or slide presentations, nobody was doing it like them. The detail, the information in the detail, whether you caught them at a sportsman show or the boat show or wherever. I mean, it's the information is so detailed and evolving as gear and techniques and electronics and tactics and downriggers and connectivity and all these systems syncing up just to continue to make you even that much more proficient, much like the commercial fleet. I mean, you find them, you locate them, figure them out, you have the right type of gear to dial it in. You have to have the ability to still run all that and get it in their face at the end of the day, right? So, wealth of information out there. Okay, moving on. We're going to jump out for a quick break. We come back. One that we did last year, and folks have been talking about it because Tommy, we mentioned it last week, how to convert your 360 flasher, and I don't care which brand you that you purchase or what your favorite is, or if you have, like me, multiples from each manufacturer that's out there because
100 of each.
Yeah, certain colors or color combinations or whatever it is. But each and every one of those, you have the ability to convert to a breakaway flasher. And if you don't think that's that big of a deal, I'm here to tell you, when that flasher pops out and spins freely and doesn't interfere or impede your ability to keep tight line on that fish the entire time you're fighting it with barbless hooks, it's a game changer.
Oh, yeah.
And there are manufactured units out there. You can buy the flasher for $14.99. You can buy the quick release flasher adjustment adapter for $13.99 or $10.99 or whatever it is. You can purchase that, or you can purchase a handful of small components that will set you back approximately $14, and you can probably build 100 of them. And I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
So don't go anywhere through the break. For those who are asking, it's coming up. For those that don't even know what I'm talking about, stick here because
and you will see.
You're going to see.
Watch and learn.
And you're going to want to go purchase a few items and convert these yourself, because part of what we enjoy doing is creating, getting out and using, and finding success, right?
That's right.
That's what it's all about. Don't go anywhere. Stick through the break. We'll be right back here on FHN. Defiance boats are built without any structural wood materials. That is why we back our boats with a lifetime warranty. All of our Defiance boats come standard with large fish boxes that are fully insulated so that you can ice your fish properly all day. Defiance boats feature a 21 to 22 degree dead rise at the transom and a large reverse chine for incredible handling and stability offshore. Defiance boats are foam flotation filled and unsinkable for the ultimate in safety while fishing offshore. Defiance boats feature fuel-efficient hull designs with large fuel tank capacity so that you can have maximum fuel range for making long offshore runs completely safe and affordable. All Defiance boats come standard with self-bailing decks for improved safety while at sea. Defiance Boat offers all our boats with Honda outboard packages so that you can take full advantage of the reliability and 5-year top-to-prop warranty from your Honda outboard. Defiance Boats for all your boating needs, and let us help you get out on the water.
Get into the groove.
Hey, welcome back to FHN. We are obviously now here in the Bait Lab. We're going to talk about these flashers. You know, there's a lot of different options out there on the market. I mean, we have our Gibbs, we got our Pro Troll, we got our short bust flasher. I got my Hotspot. Let's see, I got my Silver Horde metal flasher. I mean, I have a lot of options. And or I can buy the manufactured breakaway style flasher, which has become so popular. Again, because the whole thing is you fight the fish, not the flasher. Well, I kind of like that idea because oftentimes when using rotators and or our 360 flashers and barbless hooks, you can have that moment where you go slack for a second, it goes the opposite direction of that flasher, and simply those hooks come out of that fish. Many fish have been lost simply because the fish changes directions and that flasher cuts in. Next thing you know, that fish is off. So disconnect that flasher, disengage that big looping rotation off of that thing. That way you're fighting a straight line from tip of rod to the hooks embedded into the jaw of that fish. And how do we get there? Well, we're going to make it real easy for you. I can take any one of these flashers, and a lot of them I have, and convert them into a breakaway for literally pennies on the dollar. So first and foremost, I'm going to go and purchase a few items that I need, okay? So when it comes to the needed equipment to make this happen, first you're going to walk into your Home Depot or your Lowe's, and you're going to find this basically 50 feet. I think you can get it in 25-foot rolls also, but it's so doggone cheap, $4.50. They're about 50 feet of 1/4-inch vinyl tubing. This is water line for irrigation systems, for your yards, for your hanging plants, for things like that. Works very well. It's got a 1/4-inch inside diameter, and this stuff is somewhat rigid but flexible, and it doesn't crack, and it works really well for the item I'm going to use it for. Next, you're going to find yourself some of these double connector sleeves. These are the crimp-ons. Slide the line through them, double it back on itself. Very popular, and use them in a multitude of different options. This is what I use to secure the 150-pound line that we're going to talk about in a second. You're also going to need a number of these size 3 barrel swivels, okay? Pretty simple. You can get them in a 100-plus pack. For I think this 144 pack, these Berkeleys were $9.50, $10 for way more than I probably need. But again, not very expensive when you're using 1 unit per flasher. Then I'm going to step up and find some 150-pound monofilament. This happens to be the Berkeley Big Game Trilene, 150-pound strength because of the diameter and the strength that I want to perform the task of what it is slated to do. So as I look at the flashers in front of me here, this Gibbs, you know, the one thing, there's a lot of commonalities and then there's differences in all these flashers. This Gibbs, this Pro Troll, this short bust, it's all about how they make these connections on the end of the flasher. Now, the one thing we want to remember is you got to make sure you orient it the right side up to make this work. The shovel end going down that you pull is what digs into the water to make this thing rotate. So make sure you build this on the back side of this flasher, on the backside of that front shovel end that digs down to cause it to spin. The differences on these, a lot of them are secured in the front with a solid ring and some type of ball bearing swivel, pretty common. On the backside here, they do things a little bit different in how they connect their swivel and their clips. Short bust simply uses large oversized dual locks and ball bearing swivels, and down here they'll have a dual lock. They don't have any grommets on the inside. That doesn't matter, but you just have to figure out a way to change the dragging end of this rotator or this 360 flasher on where your presentation leader is going to connect, okay? And it's pretty simple to do that. Here's an example of a Silver Horde Gold Star. This is the trailing end of the end that we will hook the leader to, and they put that big nice barrel swivel on there, and then they have that twist on where you simply roll that swivel onto there, locks your leader in place. Pretty handy to simply switch out your presentation off the back end of that back into that flasher. what I need to do is take a perfectly good flasher like that, and I'm removing that bottom piece. I want to leave this main barrel swivel, this large oversized barrel swivel on there that I can slide this tubing onto, and that begins the transformation. Now again, I'm taking a perfectly good tail end off of that thing and willfully cutting it off just so I can put this adapter piece on there. So how do I take each one of these and convert them into a breakaway flasher by using these simple components that we talked about? So looking at this hotspot, you'll see this is pretty much, this is the ones I started with because they're the easiest to work with. You got your ball bearing swivel in your solid ring at the top end. Remember the face of this, the shovel end's down because that's your digging side. This is the heel of it that gives it a rotation. They go with a solid ring on the bottom end, barrel swivel simply to a lock clip. Very easy to convert this one as a starting point, and the rest of them you can figure out because you'll kind of duplicate this area right in here. So all we do is we take our hotspot, and I'm removing this clip off of that swivel. Okay, that gets taken away, so all I have is a swivel. I'm taking a piece of our tubing. Again, it's a 1/4 inch inside diameter, and you force it onto this oversized swivel. And I'm here to tell you, once it's on that piece of the swivel, that is not the part that's going to disconnect on you. That stays on there extremely well. You don't have to worry about that. Something else to think about too is that as these are working in the water and they're doing their rotation, okay, the pulling end on it is the front edge. That's where the tension on this device is. This trailer piece doesn't have to have a lot of strength to it as far as what it's holding presentation wise, and don't have to worry about it slipping out or falsely triggering because it's truly just dragging you know, a spinner if you want to, but a hoochie, a small spoon, some type of you know, you can drag bait behind them, obviously lots of folks do, but the drag on this is not substantial enough that's going to pop these things off. So you don't get a lot of false sets off of this thing because it does hold together pretty well. So I'm going to force that tube onto there. It's going to hold on that swivel just fine. Then I'm going to take the clip here. All right, I'm going to pick up one of my size 3 barrel swivels, and I'm going to put that on the clip. Okay, pretty simple. Now we're going to wedge this into your tubing. That size 3 fits into that 1/4 inch really well. That end of it right there is your release point. Okay, if you think about it, your leader is going to be clipped onto here with a barrel swivel going to your leader. This is the part that pulls out. And how do we make sure that it stays in contact with our main line that is connected to our swivel up here? It's simple. I'm going to take 15 inches of my 150-pound test. I'm going to grab one of my dual crimps and simply feed that on. Okay, now we're going to go through the ring on here. Okay, not the swivel. We're going to go through the ring just so it has a nice stable anchor point on that. Run that back through. Now I don't need to leave a lot of tail off of here coming out. This thing is not going to slip, and if I have that extra tail hanging out of there, that's just more to grab, just more to get in your way, more to get spun up. So we're going to get that right down nice and tight. Take a majority of the loop out of that as well. You don't need it. It just needs to be snugged right up to it. Now I'm going to hold that, take a pair of pliers. I'm going to crimp on that nice and tight. I also like to take the dike cutters on this thing and put a little extra crimp twice on that metal just to make sure it kind of bites into that line really good. Now don't push it too hard because you don't want to cut through there, but it puts a nice bite pattern into this thing. That is not going to come out. That's the first side of it, okay? That's anchored to that solid ring. That's not coming off. Now the next part of this, you're going to take another press on dual sleeve here. Now the key point here, this is going to go through your release swivel. It serves no purpose if you hook it to this ring, to this swivel, somehow try to fashion it into here, which ain't gonna happen. You're looking for the eye that is forward. The reason I stick this in that tube first is so that I only have one eye exposed, and that's the one that it's gonna go in. Don't hook it to the clip. okay, it has to go into this swivel. So we're going to put it through that swivel, and now just simply back on itself. Okay, get that in there. And again, I don't need you know, a big tail hanging off of there. What I want to do is I want to measure this now. I usually cut 15 inches or so I have enough slack. Now, if this is tight right now as it is, it's not going to pull out of this release, okay? You have to gauge this thing to make sure that you have slack in this system, all right? You have to allow the tension to be pulled at the swivel. And by doing that, that gives me the ability to stretch it past the keeper here. Again, if that's tight, then that's just pulling directly on that. That doesn't do anything. I have to extend it to where there's enough slack that when a fish hits your presentation off the end of this clip, it's going to pull that swivel out of that tube. So typically 15 inches on most of these. I found that 16 inches on your Silver Horde Gold Star metal flasher is going to do a better job. So now we're just going to crimp that one closed as well. Okay, and put a little crimp on there with my diagonal cutter portion. Again, I like that to bite in there really well. That's pretty much it. That's your jumper that goes from the front part of that shovel back to that connector piece. And when a fish hits this and basically rips and pulls line, especially if they change direction on you, okay, that is simply going to pull out of that piece. Now see, that all stays connected and hangs on the end. This is now your direct line to your main line and directly to your presentation, which happens to be buried in the jaw of a nice 25-pound Chinook. It doesn't take a lot to pull that out of there. It takes a pretty good pop to pull it out of there. Your small fish may not trigger it, but you're not going to have a lot of false releases also, which is nice because the false releases are a pain in the butt because you constantly got to bring gear in, bring your downrigger up, reset. I have found that that doesn't really happen with this method. That little tube, actually, when you drop that into Puget Sound, it actually tightens up a little bit because that water makes it cold and gets a little tighter there. So, and then to reset it, all I have to do is basically you have that swivel on there, the only end that's exposed. That swivel pops right back into that tube. You just set it in there, and there you are. That thing is set to go. Hook it to your mainline clip, hook your presentation on the end of that, put it out there, drop your downrigger, get that thing rolling, and when that fish hits and pops that sucker out of there, you're going to be fighting the fish and not the flasher. Pretty much works every time. I have yet to have a failure. And you may have a little investment here. You're going to have, you know, $4.50 into your 50 feet of tubing, which will last you forever. I don't know how many you can make out of that because I gave David 15 feet of it, and he's yet to tell me how many he can make. These cramps don't cost all that much. Again, $10 for your 145 size 3 swivels. Can't remember the price on that Berkeley line. I've had it for a couple years. So do yourself a favor, little investment up front. You're going to make a ton of these things. You can build a release on every one of your flashers if you choose to do so. It's going to work fantastic. You don't have to pay 10, 12, 15 bucks for a single unit to put on your non-release flasher. Now you have a way to do it in your own garage. And as often said by a good friend of ours, more fish are caught in the garage than anywhere else on the planet, and I'm a believer in that. So hopefully that helps you out. A couple little bonus tips here for you that you can cheat the system and find a way to do it yourself. And let us know on our Facebook page or message us up. Let us know if you've converted them. Throw your pictures up there so we can see your artwork. And then I want to see the pictures of the fish you're catching with those release flashers when you get out on the water and find success. Okay, that'll do it for us here in the Bait Lab. We're going to jump back in the studio after this break. Well, there you go, Tommy. You, my friend, are in fact a one who would prefer the breakaway flasher.
Yeah, totally. Big proponent of the breakaway. Yeah. You know, I've been running the Q Cove breakaway flashers, but Ken Pinnell quit making them about 4 years ago, so you can't buy them anymore. So now we rely on like your method in order to be able to rig those breakaway flashers. You know, one of the things that we were talking about on break is how many fish we lost at Neha Bay on Friday going into the weekend that evening, you know, we weren't running breakaway flashers. We were running regular, you know, inline 360-degree flashers without the breakaway feature. And on top of that, running knuckle busters, right, where you gotta be right with that fish, like constantly spinning the crank on that reel.
Yeah.
And I would say we lost probably 2 to 3 times the number of fish that we ended up keeping. I mean, it was like unreal. The most fish that I've lost in a long time.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to be said for breakaway flasher, and I highly advise people to run that method that you just described.
I think that you'll find your hook to land ratio goes up exponentially, especially when we're forced and continue to be forced to use barbless hooks.
Right.
And it's not so much about the ability or inability to keep that line tension on that fish no matter where it goes, but you have that dynamic shift where that fish swims past that flasher.
Yeah.
And that flasher gets caught up in current and adjusts, and all of a sudden you get that momentary second or lapse of time where those hooks just basically float out from the fish's mouth.
It doesn't take much.
It doesn't take much. And so the way that those pop, you seldom, if ever, and I don't know why it would happen, but people are concerned about false releases. It's like you literally have to have a fish on those hooks of some sort to pop that out of that tube.
Right.
Sometimes they get a little tighter because the water's cold and that tube gets a little tighter.
Shrinks down,
right?
Yep.
Tightens up on that swivel. You're already using scent, petroleum-based products of scent. You put a little oil inside that tube and pop that swivel in there, and then they pop out really nice.
Yeah, it can only be broken away from the back end of the flash. So a fish has to pull on it in order to release that back end.
Yep. And then it leaves that flasher flopping around, and you have a direct connect. And if you're concerned about, it's potentially going to break, you go from 60-pound braid as a connection ring with your dual lock to a 150-pound jumper to your 30 or whatever diameter of model you choose to run on your leader. And that is
that's more than enough.
You think?
Yeah.
That is not your failure point. Your failure point is going to be your hooks, or you're not on your braid or something like that. That connecting link is not going to be your failure point.
Right.
So it's worth putting in a little time collecting the few items that you need that you can get, at your hardware store or at a sporting goods store, and take some time and try to make those yourselves. I think you'll be very happy with the outcome. Okay, with that, mister, we are going to jump out for a break, and when we come back, we are actually going to review the video footage and the short premiere of our Kokanee opportunity we took full advantage of in Wyoming. And this really hits home on the progression of a fishery. It's like when you go to a destination and you take a day or two to figure it out. It's like, and you get intel from folks that you know who pretty much have it dialed, or else they fish it on a pretty regular basis, and they try a few different things and find success. And you gather all this intel, and now you kind of have to sort through it and figure out what works, and you try a few things to see if that works. And by day 3, we definitely had it dialed in, because that third attempt to get out there and get on them, we got plenty of fish. We got nice sized fish. We caught fish on the adjustments we made after days 1 and 2: color, contrast, scent, color of bait as in corn, size of profile of lure, and depth of water we were fishing, and depth of downrigger in the depth of water. It all came together on day 3, and we found some great success. So don't go anywhere. Stick with us through this break. We come back, we're going to introduce you to a little kokanee fishing, world-class kokanee fishing, mind you, Wyoming, Flaming Gorge, right after this break here on Fish on Northwest.
Marine is the one-stop shop for the Pacific Northwest angler. Whether you are looking for a small skiff to fish the Sound or rivers, or a huge offshore tuna machine, Defiance Marine has it. At Defiance Marine, be sure to power your boat with a Honda outboard package. Take advantage of the reliability and 5-year top-to-prop warranty on your Honda outboards. Our service department is always here to help and serve you as the customer. Did you know Defiance Marine has boat financing experts to help get you the best term rates on your new boat purchase? If you need financing for that new boat, call us today. We guarantee the best price, best service on a repower for your current boat. Defiance Marine is a Honda Premier dealership and one of the largest on the West Coast. Defiance Marine also carries all the gear that you will need. Everything from auxiliary kicker motors to fishing tackle and bait. Defiance Marine has certified technicians that are top-notch at their job. Some of the best in the Pacific Northwest at evaluating your boat issues and problems. Stop in today or give us a call for all your needs at Defiance Marine.
It's easier than ever to browse homes and connect with an agent on the go with Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate's mobile app. With the app, your home search is synced across all of your devices, so you can pick up your home search anytime, anywhere. Take full advantage of an enriched, mobile-optimized map search experience. Use location services to quickly find homes near you that match your search criteria. Draw your own map boundaries to find homes in a specific area, and apply layers to view school districts, neighborhoods, zip codes, and more. The app's user-friendly design makes it easier than ever to find a home you'll love. Narrow down your search results, save your search criteria, and save your favorite homes. You can browse your saved homes in a list view that puts photos and key details like price and square footage right at your fingertips. Or check out your saved homes displayed on the map.
Gosh, beautiful morning. Very little to no wind, which is great when you're out here at Flaming Gorge. Gonna be maybe 3 to 5 this morning, which is ideal. It's just gonna put a little riffle on top of that water. Yeah, we're gonna go out here for about 4 or 5 hours this morning before that afternoon wind rolls in. We're gonna try to take what we've learned yesterday and apply it to today. Good anticipation this morning of finding a few of those big ones. We got, I don't know, 10 or so smaller fish. Now, if we were at home yesterday, those 12 to 14 inch kokanee, we would be keeping those because that's a decent, respectable kokanee in the state of Washington. But however, when you're out here at Flaming Gorge, we're looking for those 2 to 4 pounders. Definitely the rainbow fishing out here can be very good as well. Really nice sized fish, and we get to tussle with a whole bunch of Mackinaw if you choose to do that. So our goal this morning is to find those big piggy kokanee and put a few of those in the box. So here we go. That drag. A little loose, hold on. Okay. Still there?
What's that right rod?
Yeah, he's there.
Yeah, he's there.
Got him on that turn. Oh yeah. You're right, Leo, another decent fish. Oh, real nice fish. There we go. Actually, that's a real nice fish. Love it. Ooh. Look at that guy go, huh? There we go. That was at 15 feet. That downriver little fish. 15 feet. Lift up. Oh, real good fish, Leo. Pull the line. Yeah. Oh, here's a dandy.
Oh yeah.
Huh?
That's another nice.
Here you go, buddy. Boy. 15 feet.
He's flying.
Oh, he is a good one. Oh, I missed. Come on now. Stop. Nod your head and I'll hit it.
You're not in water.
That might be what's pissing them off.
Might be.
Hey, good job on that fish, man. Nice job. Yeah, we kept it out of that side splitter, which was kind of problematic. Don't you
dare lose this fish. I'm serious.
If you do, you're going in the water.
I'm serious. You darn right, this is a good one.
Make sure that recording.
Down this other rod.
Get a little red light up on the top left screen.
That's a real big kokanee. Might go 3-4 pounds. I guess they do like that lure, Jordan. I told you it's a good fish. Darn near ripped the rod out of my hand letting that rig out. I want you to reel down to it and then lift the rod up nice and slow. Lift the rod up nice and slow. Pull it nice and easy and then reel down to it. Reel. Lift the rod nice and slow. We'll check that drag. Okay, that's good. That's a big fish.
That's a nice one.
Oh boy, here he comes. Reel down to it, pull it nice and easy. If you're gonna take line, let him go. Yeah. Reel down. Okay, reel down one more time and lift nice and easy. Lift it nice and easy. One more time, nice and easy. Reel down. Nice and easy. Oh, let out line. Let out line.
That's a nice one. Oh yeah.
Told you that was a big fish. There we go.
Let's go over here for us.
Yeah, like a bunch of them today. We had a big pike on that guy. He was like a doggone sockeye, didn't he? That's because he is. Clear this rod for me, buddy. And then reel that side plate around. It's working today. And what's really interesting is how shallow the water is that we're finding these big fish, okay? We're actually finding most fish in 40 to 60 foot of water, and we have hooked more fish on our side planters with that 5/8 ounce lead in front of that Dodger, about 18 inches. We're putting it back 75 feet, we're sending it out about 30 to 40 feet, and the combination is working. The scent is squid and shrimp anise on our Pautzke's fire corn, the natural fire corn. Don't even have to run pink today. And the lure is a black and gold bead lure, no flash, no crystal flash, nothing fancy, just beads and a max gold smile blade. So the black and gold is working, the larger smile blade, size 1, is working fantastic, and it's been on both sides of the boat. We're running that lure on both side planters, and both side planters are getting hit today. For whatever reason though, this left side of the boat's getting crushed. It's been fantastic. Well, as soon as this dude gets in a little closer. Perfect. This little chop on the surface here. It is almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It is 12:45, and these fish are still smacking it. This is awesome. The biggest one is still a nice fish. Yeah. There we go. There you go, Leo. Oh, there we go. Nicely done, buddy. Another nice kokanee. I gotta get on that motor. Bag up, bag up, bag up. There you go.
Oh yeah.
Black and gold for the win. Woohoo! Like a good fish, Jordan?
Oh yeah.
Here we are again, 50 foot of water. Side planer in black and gold. Keep close. That's a real nice fish.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the magic of 6 rods. Real nice fish. There we go. That'll work. That's dandy. Picking up, making it interesting. Oh. That one very big, Leo. Little guy. Might let him go. Actually, he's not bad at all.
Yeah, that's a decent fish.
Yeah, full line. That's a keeper. All right, we're gonna count fish because we're getting close. Yeah, that's a good fish.
Yeah. He sure didn't feel that good.
No, he snapped that the clip off the side planer though.
Oh, that other rod's out of the gunringer now.
This rod here?
Oh, yeah.
Might have been due to speed. Yeah.
Grabbing that.
We're getting it. We got time. Real nice fish.
Him and I'll just sit back here and hang out.
Okay, we're good. We're good. Bring it in. There we go. Little line. Oh, good.
Not bad. It's not bad.
The old side planer and the gold and black once again. And we are literally in 40 foot of water, which I don't know why we're finding all these fish in this 40 foot of water, but I wish I would have done this 2 days ago.
I don't know, but I'm not seeing anything on the screen.
No fish?
No,
because they're up. We're in 40 foot of water, we're getting them at about 15 feet. In the afternoon, full sun, and these things are biting. There you go, reel down. Look at that drop off, Leo. Now we're 99.
Yep. Wow.
We just hit the drop off.
Right here on the shelf, weren't they?
Reel down and lift. Reel down and lift. Lift them up. Bring it, lift it. There you go. Another decent one. Full line. Full line. Oh. Full line off the reel. Oh. Break the hook? No. Okay. 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 Grab hold of something. How about that, Odell?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Not too shabby. That's another decent little fish right there.
Yeah.
Jordan, you want to get a photo?
Yeah.
Grandpa?
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we are, Flaming Gorge. Just finished up an incredible morning out here on the water. I can't express how much fun today was. Had Jordan out here, of course, and then my father-in-law, my brother-in-law, and absolutely lights out for us today. Not as much boat traffic. Don't know if that made a difference, but you know, the first 2.5 days out here on the water, we struggled trying to put a pattern together, figure out exactly what they wanted. Talked to a handful of guys. Everybody I talked to has a different technique. Color contrast, or types of colors they use, types of dodgers, size of dodger, size of lure, colors on lures, and finally settled in on our final day out here. First of all, coming into this morning, I knew the weather was going to be fantastic, so we had a good 5 hours on the water this morning that were very productive. And I opted to go ahead and utilize the side planers. And I saw a few guys out here the other day using side planers, and as long as the wind's not blowing like crazy, we're able to get those side planers out, and today that was the ticket. A couple other things that we put together over the last few days, kind of dissecting exactly what scent or bait scent or color of bait they responded to, and it ended up being consistently today and the latter part of the Friday when we fished out here, the Pautzke's natural fire corn that I added a little scent to, some of the Mike's squid, and just a little bit of the shrimp anise. That in combination seemed to be the ticket with the natural corn. Ran that today pretty much on all lures, because once they started hitting that, it worked really well. Put some anise and or some squid on the Dodgers. That also proved to be very good. Kind of a key thing, a few days ago, a gentleman came up to us and asked us how we were doing. Said, here, try these lures, and he threw me a small gold blade with some black on it and some black and gold beads. And we fished that lure the next day, and it caught a few fish. And I thought, you know what, if black and gold is going to get it done, we're going to tie up some lures. So last night, Jordan and I sat down, taking what we've learned here the last few days, and that's basically the progression, right? We're out here trying to figure this fishery out, not having been on this water before. First couple of days finding moderate success, taking key points along the way, and putting that all together on our final day here on the water. We tied up some black and gold lures, double hook of course. I also increased my hook size to a 1/0 trailer and a size 1. And the reason I did that is because we were missing fish the other day. And this combination here with the golden black beads and this large Max gold blade, this Max Smile blade on that gold, that coupled with the Pautzke's Fire Corn Natural and the scents that I described, this was the ticket today. That with a lot of flash, running bigger Dodgers that, you know, get you a lot of flash, and of course a sliding drop weight. Again, we put that bobber stop about 2 feet today above our Dodger, and we're just running a 5/8 ounce weight on that slider, and we would basically send this out behind the boat 75 feet, clip it into the side planer, send it on out there about 30-40 feet away from the boat. And out of getting 4 limits on Kokanee today, probably 85% of our fish came on our side planers on this black and gold and that Pautzke's natural corn. So the progression for us over the first couple days, taking points along the way, what we learned, putting it together on the final day out here on the water, and it flat out produced. We ended up getting our 4 limits of Kokanee, couple bonus fish today. They weren't all monster Kokanee. We got some really nice sized ones that you'll see, but that being said, some of the smaller ones we kept because you don't want to put back injured fish, especially out here at the gorge. So we got some fish to clean. That did it for us out here on the water today. Again, couldn't be happier with the success. About 5 hours on the water, we got our limits. Great day. Flaming Gorge is a phenomenal fishery, destination fishery for you to make plans to come out here and fish. May, June, July, even into August, so it starts getting a little hot, but May, June, July, fishing can be absolutely phenomenal. We will say right up front, are not, you know, we don't claim to have this fishery dialed by any sorts. We came out here to learn this fishery, take what we could learn along the way, and hopefully we put it together and have worked out for us. There are guys that have this thing so dialed, number of guides out here and other persons that fish, they really have this fishery dialed. Makes you scratch your head when you spend the first couple days not finding success, but again, you're learning little bits along the way, and you put that all together on the final day, and hopefully you can come out here and find success. So that's going to wrap it up for us here at Flaming Gorge. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you real soon back in the studio. Welcome back in studio here at Fish on Northwest, Wayne England, Tommy Donlin, and so there you go, sir. Those are above bait size.
Yeah, those are some nice fish.
Believe it or not.
Yeah.
Those rival the size of the resident coho we're catching up there
for sure
in Puget Sound right now. And really, you know, the takeaway from there is you go to a destination. This one just happens to be 1,000 miles away. And folks come from all over. There's folks there from Arizona. There's folks there from California. They make annual trips to this place. You can fish the other end of the reservoir coming out of the Utah side. You can fish there off a buckboard where we launch simply because it's 30 minutes from the in-laws place, so it's pretty convenient. And I guess it's the progression, you know, to figure out what's working, what's not, and kind of dial it in. And we literally, as I explained towards the end of the video there, because I know folks tuning in, we don't just want to show you guys us out there catching fish. We want to take time to tell you exactly how we did it and why we found success. And the adjustments were color and the lures that we created the evening before and went back with the gold and black pattern. Larger flash on our dodgers, and we changed up our scent to squid and shrimp anise combination and just white natural Pautzke's fire corn with those scents added to them in the jar, and smear a little scent on your dodger. And that's what they wanted, man. That was the ticket. Also ran the side planers, and you guys heard me say we put those side planers out, or we drop it 75 feet back, put the side planers about 30 to 40 feet out each side. And 11 of the 14 fish we got that day came on those golden black combinations, full sun on the water. We hooked more fish between, I'd say, 10:30, 11, and 1 o'clock. And in 40 to 60 foot of water and only about 15 feet down. So it contrasts completely compared to what we're used to here at home. You know, our Kokanee fisheries here at home, like if I'm fishing American Lake right now, or if I'm even out here in the backyard at Summit Lake, I'm probably, well, I know for Summit Lake, if we had decent sized kokanee and I was going after them, this time of year, I would be down no less than 50 to 65 feet in a smaller presentation, lots of pinks and colored corn and completely different scents, you know, garlic tuna. It's just, the fishery gives you what it gives you.
Yeah, I was
right?
You probably don't know the answer to this, but do you know why? Like, why gold and black? I mean, was it the water clarity, the fact that they could actually, you know, see that gold reflection up there in that high sun, that clearer water that you were fishing, or what was it?
Potentially, because kokanee lures that were consistently here at home and all the different colors and things that we tried the first couple of days, even colors on the dodgers and things that, in my mind, should work, but just were not. And for some other guys that were fishing, they were utilizing lures and dodgers that had much more color and UV to them and whatnot. As it all came together, the highest rate of success for us on that day was the black and gold with the high flash on the dodger and the scent that we landed on. And just, you know, I went into it with a plan based on the first 2 days of intel, and that's just where we landed. It's like the success or lack thereof that we found today, so we're going to change our game plan a little bit tomorrow. And you keep chipping away at it till you find success. And then, you know, when everything comes together and you've nailed it and you figure out what they want and how they want it and speed and depth and color and scent and all those things, and all of a sudden you start producing, you stick with that until it doesn't work. Right? And that's kind of the game plan. So appreciate everybody that stuck around and watched that. It'll be posted up again later for your viewing pleasure. We had an absolute blast, and I guarantee as we progress through this season, I get that Raider sold and I find myself into that hand-delivered by Bo Palmer himself, that 21-foot
That's right.
Mustang hardtop. We'll be dragging that bad boy to Wyoming next year and do this all over again. So something to look forward to. All right, jump out for a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to close out the show with Tom Tucker, no stranger to the show. Tom Tucker, 360 Fishing. We're going to talk about those ocean coho, believe it or not, and availability and how he's running his trips, and also kind of a pre-look at Buoy 10 that's up and coming just around the corner here in about a month or so. Plenty to talk about with Tom. Don't go anywhere. Stick through the break. We'll be back right here on FHN Fish Hunt Northwest.
Allied boats are built by West Coast fishermen for West Coast fishermen. Deep V 21-degree dead rise at the transom guarantees a smooth ride no matter the conditions. Allied offers all of our boats with Honda outboard packages so that you can take full advantage of the reliability and 5-year top-to-prop warranty from your Honda outboard. Allied boats range from 19 to 32 foot in length, so no matter what type of heavy gauge boat you are looking for, we have it for you. All of our Corsair 21 foot and larger designs come standard with reverse chine that is welded inside and out with no extrusions below the waterline, so that you will never have to worry about corrosion problems down the road. Get out on the water today in a boat that you can trust and enjoy with Allied Boats. Contact us at Allied Boats today to learn much more about our incredible fishing machines.
Hey, welcome back in studio to Wayne England, Tommy Donlan, closing out the show, sir, with none other than Tom Tucker, 360 Fishing. And you, my friend, actually got out fishing today, although it wasn't for coho. It would be more around a topic that we just got done premiering on the show.
Absolutely, yeah. And actually, today and yesterday, Kokanee fishing on Lake Merwin. The ocean was a little lumpy, so the lake was a good option.
Yeah. And how's Merwin fishing right now? Still getting plenty of fish?
It's fishing great right now. The fish are kind of peak size. You know, they're starting to kind of develop those eggs. Fishing's great, and it was like 85 degrees out there today.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That sounds nice.
Yeah. Not too bad on the wind up there?
A little bit windy, but you could kind of hop in some coves and stay out of the wind and get a good troll going.
Yeah. What kind of average on those fish? Are we at maybe 13, 14 on an average, you think?
Oh, I don't know. I measured a couple to 17 inches the last couple days, so they're getting big.
All right. That might be worth hooking up the boat and dragging on down there. It's a 2-hour drive for me to get up in there.
There you go.
That road off the highway, once you start heading up that hill, that seems like to take forever, right? So,
oh yeah.
But a good time nonetheless. So, hey, coho is on the mind of many, along with Chinook. But when the ocean is favorable, you have been out as of late finding some coho. Let's talk about that program. I think you told me you're launching on a Hammond. Is that right?
Yeah, I've done some just checking out trips out of Ilwacco, but I've done some client trips out of Hammond. It's where I'm fishing out of. Heading out there right across the bar and kind of just been hanging around the fleet and chasing those coho like most people and trying to get some bottom fish to cap off a day.
What's been proven successful for you on chasing those coho? How are you going after them? Divers, lead, or you fishing bait, spinners? What's the ticket?
Yeah, so definitely bait, and hardware is definitely something to have going, especially with all like the short strikes and everything you're getting out there. But anchovies just on your triangle flashers. I'm running lead. I'll do 8 to 12 ounces. Kind of stagger my rods throughout the boat, even run 4 ounces on the back, with like a cup plug or something. Mm-hmm. But definitely running, a big bait spread. And just kind of getting a good troll going has been the key for me to find success, whether it be the wind and adjusting your speed, just so you get a solid troll and you got your gear in the water.
Talk to us a little bit about your anchovy rigs. I assume you're using a head. What kind of head are you using? What hooks are you using? And then, like you mentioned, the short strike on the coho. Are you running that last hook a little bit behind that anchovy so that if you do get that short strike, you're still hooking them?
Yeah, so we can run 2 hooks out in the ocean. It's nice when we're fishing the river, we get the 3 hooks so we can really get that trailer going. But I'm not running helmets just because we're running through so many anchovies. So I'll hook them under the mouth, up through the top of the head, give them a little bend, and throw the hook through the side. And that's been working pretty good for me. I'll fish a similar system in the river when those fish come in. But I like to kind of bling up my anchovies quite a bit with some blades, some hoochies, a lot of pinks.
Right on.
Yeah, and they can't really seem to say no to that. Those fish aren't too picky.
Yeah. How deep you finding these fish then?
So I'm running my line counters with, again, 8 to 12 ounces of weight, and I'm usually fishing between 18 on the line counter and 36.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and, not going too far, not too far down, not too far back.
You had mentioned the key is getting an effective troll. So what type of troll speed are you looking for to maintain that average?
Well, I'm looking to depends. If I'm running my 360s, I'll like to go a little bit slower so I can get a good thump. Mm-hmm. But if I'm just running triangles and I'm kind of cruising, the wind's gusting, I'm liking 2 to 3 miles an hour. But again, I'm having to adjust for wind and current and everything. So just kind of keeping a good troll, not too fast, but still covering water.
What would you recommend for folks that want to come out and give that a try as far as color on your 360s or color coupled with their inline triangle with maybe a spinner?
Yeah, I mean, leader length, you don't need much. For flasher colors, All the chromes are great, especially for coho. But some of the pinks, there's like I think it's like the twisted pink or twisted, I don't know, something. But the pink and chartreuse, that one's hot. Kind of any of those coho-y colors. Red October's been a good one for me when it's a little bit cloudy out. Mm-hmm. That's like a reddish orangish. That one's been pretty good. But I'll switch my colors up if it's cloudy out. Yeah, but chromes in general have been real good. And then as far as like a spinner rig, any of your like Simon's 3.5s, if you can get something with a hoochie on there, those are all really good. You know, definitely get some scent on there. That kind of seems to be a make or break sometimes on the hardware. But you know, even just a chunk of anchovy does good too.
Sure. Yeah, sounds about right. What maybe some herring gel or some scent gel or something like that? You can't get bait or.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a little something on there gets them to kind of commit a little more, it seems like, and just gets more bites.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, sounds like you're definitely getting into a handful of fish out there. The coho fishery is just starting. And I know you'd mentioned a couple days ago when we chatted that you're kind of impressed with the size of coho that are already in this time of July for this year, which is encouraging, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. So, you know, compared to last year, it seems like the fish are quite a bit bigger this year.
Yeah.
Definitely seeing some in the 6 to 8 pound range.
That's excellent.
Which, for this time of year is pretty great.
Yeah.
So when you cut them open, what are you seeing inside of their stomachs?
Super undeveloped eggs in the hens. And then as far as, I have seen some anchovies in there and some herring. They're definitely feeding a lot. There's a lot of bait around. It's kind of spread out, but there's definitely big sections of bait out there. So I think they're feeding pretty aggressively.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Right on. Well, you got a lengthy season ahead of you. You're going to be moving up into Buoy 10 waters here before too long. We'll definitely have you back on the show to talk about that. Where can folks get hold of you or find your contact info if they want to book a trip with you, Tom?
So 360fishingtrips.com or on Facebook. And yeah, I'll be out there for the next month and a half, just waiting till those fish come in the river and all those kings flood in.
Yeah, well, there you go. I'll more than likely see you down there. Looking forward to it. All right, buddy. Appreciate you taking a little time out of your evening to join us and help us close out the show. And don't be a stranger.
Absolutely. Thank you, Danny and Tommy. Right. Have a good one.
Yep. Have a good night. All right, Mr. Donlan, that's about going to do it for us. Wrapping it up. Lengthy 2-hour show once again, covering primarily salmon. We do have other things going on we're going to delve into hopefully next week. But it's hard to pull away from salmon. And, you know, we're not just talking salmon, Puget Sound. I mean, we're bouncing around. We're talking ocean fisheries and
we covered the gamut, I'd say.
In-river opportunities and, you know, sockeye opportunities and yes, even kokanee opportunities. And you couldn't get further away from the saltwater by fishing for salmon in Wyoming.
True.
Huh?
Yeah.
Put that one in your hat. So, all right. Any final words?
It's also tuna time. Nope. So next week, we got to have a tuna segment.
Well, we got a special guest joining us next week, too.
Yeah.
I got to tell you on that one. So, looking forward to that. Big surprise for you. I'll just put it out there. The world's largest 11-year-old is going to be joining us in studio next week. And spend a little time on Puget Sound. So that'll be good. And we're going to cover basically salmon and tuna next week because it's that time of year and we need to get cranking that up. So
it is.
All right, everybody have a great week. Hopefully you get out on the water. We will do our best to do just that. More days on Puget Sound coming. More techniques and how-tos. Lots of information available. Interact with us on our social media platform. Join us on Facebook. Hit us up on Instagram. Follow our content. Ask questions via Messenger. Lots of those coming in lately, by the way.
Yeah.
Tons of questions. Trying to keep up on all of those. So spread our content if you would. It's a pleasure to join you here every week on Thursday night. And we will do it again next Thursday live, 6 p.m. We'll see you right here on Fish on Northwest.